Hey, 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 almost fifth graders. We're going to start with number 6 and do 6, 7, and 8. That will take us to the back page. So have 6, 7, and 8 all ready to go. 6, this is the question for 6. It says the points A and B are shown on the grid below. So they colored in A and B for you. Now they're asking you to draw the square ABCD. That's how we label a square in geometry. And I'll show you once we go to the grid, I'll show you how we label that and how you would make that in a certain order on your grid. By plotting, plotting means to place. Okay, that's what the word plot means, to place. Plotting the points C and D and then connecting the 4 points together. So that's what you are to do for this question. First of all, we need to know the definition of a square. Okay, everybody knows the definition of a square, right? 4 equal sides. So we're going to need to use the grid to count 4 equal sides. Well, they already plotted A and B, so we need to, whatever A and B was, is what we need to follow. Okay, so A and B had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in between, so we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in order to make an equal line. So you did not have this part down here. So that's what Mrs. B drew in. Okay, can you see where I drew in the point here? So I plotted that point, I plotted this point, and then I connected it. And now they're telling me that we need to make a square. So then what I would need to do is I would need to connect, right, to make a square. And then that way I would answer right over here. This is how it's written, square ABCD. It's by the plotted points in order. A, B, C, D. You cannot interchange these. So in other words, I can't put D over here and C over here and label it A, B, C, D. If I put D over here and C over here, I would have to call the square ABDC, which you could, but that's, you always go in order, okay? And it would not make sense. It would just be confusing to go out of order. So we always just keep it in alphabetical order, and we would label that ABCD. Okay. Number 7, I'm going to use the same grid because I don't want to have to erase it. So you were given a blank grid for number 7, and it asks you, oops, I'm going to have to use my finger. Okay. Now it's asking you to plot 2 points and draw 2 points that are 8 units apart on the grid below. Label the points Y and Z and then to connect them. Well, we already know that this is 6, right? So, and I'm just going to erase this for right now, almost 5th graders. Okay, I'm just going to erase that so that you don't get confused. Okay, and then I'm going to erase this because this wasn't here either. It was a clean grid. Okay, it just gave you a grid. So that's our old square. Well, I can just count one more over, right? And one more over. And then I know I'll get 8 in between. So that's what you would do, is you would count so that you had 8 squares. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You would plot. Okay, so that's plotting them. You would label them Y, Z, and then you would make your connecting line. So that's what that answer should have looked like. That is now the answer to the bottom question, where it asks you, circle the term that best describes YZ. So you can see YZ on Mrs. B's paper here. That would be a line segment, right? Why is it a line segment? It's straight and it has 2 endpoints. So that makes it a line segment, and that is how I would describe it in my answer. It has 2 endpoints, so it is a line segment. That's what you should have written. Okay, last question, number 8. Number 8 also was a diagram of a grid, and it asked you to do several things. So Mrs. B drew them in here, but I'm going to explain it. They had very specific directions, very, very specific directions. It says the grid below, they already had in there for you points A, B, and C. That was already on the grid for you. It says draw the following items. So they want to know, do you know the difference between a line, array, and a line segment? So the first one says a line segment that connects A and B. So you can see how Mrs. B drew that in. A to B, a line segment has 2 endpoints, right? So I would draw my line there, and that would be a line segment. A line, okay, so now they just want a line that passes through points B and C. So here's point B, here's point C. They want it through those points. So you would draw your line so it went through and it continued on, and you have to put an arrow at each end. If you didn't put an arrow at each end, it would have been wrong, because this shows continuous. Okay, that shows a continuous point. Okay. The next one they had is a ray with an endpoint at C that extends to the left. So you had to go to point C. You had to know what a ray is. A ray has an endpoint and then a continuous arrow. So it has to go to the left. This is the left, that's the right. So it should have been pointing in this direction with an arrow at the end. And then the last thing they asked you to create was a ray with an endpoint at A that extends downward. So you needed to go to point A. It's a ray, so it's going to have an endpoint, and then it's going to have a continuous arrow, and it needed to be going down. So line segment AB, line BC, because it's got 2 arrows at each end, ray C, right, going to the left, and then a ray using point A going down. This was just seeing if you could draw everything that you had defined. Well, that was a very short, almost 5th graders geometry lesson. You will get way more, okay, in 5th grade. You will concentrate a lot more on geometry. So this was just something to refresh your memory from 3rd grade and what you had learned, and to just give you a basis for just knowing some of the geometry terms. Okay, quiz 50, done. And I have a feeling for most of you, after you watch this video, you are D-O-N-E, and you are ready for summer vacation. Congratulations on completing math. You guys did a wonderful job this year. Keep up the good work. Mrs. B wrote, okay, in your math plans that we did not finish the book. My encouragement to you, almost 5th graders, is that there were some lessons that I wrote in there. 1 lesson a week, okay? Just 1 lesson, rainy day in the summer. Grab that math book, complete that lesson, and it will keep your brain in math mode. And you'll also pick up on some of the new concepts that we didn't cover in 4th grade that you'll need to know as almost 5th graders. Okay, so love you guys. Have a good day. Bye-bye.